All right, let's talk about a solar mystery that has been bugging scientists for literally 300 years. How exactly does our sun keep time? Well, a brand new paper from researchers Y. Shimizu and H. Hata might have finally cracked the code, and they did it using a revolutionary algorithm that's actually inspired by life itself. You see, for as long as we've been pointing telescopes at the sky, we've known that the sun has this pulse. Roughly every 11 years, sunspots pop up all over its surface, and then they fade away. But here's the thing. This cosmic metronome isn't perfect. Some cycles are really strong, others are super weak. And sometimes, the sun gets weirdly quiet for decades at a time. So what's the hidden mechanism that's actually driving this rhythm? We have been keeping tabs on these sunspots, the visible dark patches on the solar surface, for 3 centuries. That gives us a huge amount of data about what happens on the outside. But the engine, the thing that's running this entire show, that's buried deep, deep inside the star's fiery guts, totally invisible to us. And this timeline just gives you a sense of how long we've been on this case. Consistent tracking kicked off way back in 1723. And since then, we've seen not just the regular cycle, but these really strange periods, like the Dalton minimum, where the sun's activity just took a nosedive. This incredible 300-year-long data set is where all the clues are hidden. So we're pretty sure there's this powerful magnetic dynamo churning away deep inside the sun, and that's what creates the sunspots. The problem is, this engine is way down in the convection zone, far below the surface, and completely out of reach for any telescope we have. It's kind of like we can see all the smoke, but we have absolutely no way to get a look at the fire. So if we can't see it, how in the world do we study it? Well, scientists use mathematical models, and the frontrunner, the leading theory, is called the flux transport dynamo. You can think of it like a blueprint for the sun's hidden engine. It basically describes how these deep plasma flows inside the sun grab magnetic fields, stretch them out, twist them up, and then that's what rises to the surface and makes sunspots. And this really gets to the heart of the problem. On the left, you've got the stuff we can actually see from Earth. But on the right, you've got the key ingredients for our models that we just have to guess at. Things like the exact speed of plasma flows deep inside the sun, or how strong its magnetic field generation is. These are the critical hidden variables. Yeah, it's like someone gives you a recipe for a cake that just says, use flour, sugar, and eggs. But it doesn't tell you how much of each. How could you ever hope to bake the perfect cake? You'd just be guessing forever. And for decades, that's pretty much the exact challenge solar physicists were up against, trying to simulate the sun. So, how did they finally solve it? Instead of just guessing, researchers Shimizu and Hata use this brilliantly clever method that actually borrows its core ideas from biology. It's called the genetic algorithm. Okay, so this diagram shows you the big idea. It's basically digital evolution. You start with a population of 30 different simulations. That's what you see on the left. Each one is a slightly different recipe for the sun, right? Then you just let them compete and evolve over and over until the absolute best one comes out on top. And it works in 3 steps, just like natural selection. First up, selection. The algorithm runs all 30 of its simulations and checks how well each one matches up with the real sunspot data. The winners, the best ones, get picked to be parents. Next, crossover. With an 80% chance, it takes the genes, which are just the parameters, from those successful parents, and it mixes them together to create new children. And finally, mutation. With a 30% chance, the algorithm throws in these tiny, random changes, which allows for totally new, unexplored possibilities. You just repeat that loop, generation after generation, and the simulation gets better and better at matching reality. As the researchers themselves put it, it's this constant cycle of checking the fitness and optimizing the parameters. You're basically letting the algorithm discover the hidden physics of the sun through a process of, digital survival of the fittest. It's amazing. I mean, it's a powerful idea for sure, but the real test, the million-dollar question, was whether this method could actually take 300 years of real, messy, historical solar data and create a simulation that actually lined up with it. And the answer was, well, just look at this. A spectacular yes. On this graph, the red line is the real historical sunspot number over 300 years. The blue line is what the genetic algorithm's final evolved simulation came up with. The match is just stunning. It gets the highs, it gets the lows, it even nails that quiet Dalton minimum back in the early 1800s. And the numbers totally back it up. The correlation between the simulation and reality is a super strong 0.876. For the cycle peaks, it's 0.842. And what's maybe most impressive is that the model figured out all on its own that the sun's internal plasma flows must have slowed down during that Dalton minimum, which is something scientists had suspected for a long time but could never actually prove. But look, this is so much more than just matching a line on a graph. By successfully reverse engineering the sun's history, this algorithm has, in effect, uncovered the hidden rules that govern how our star behaves. It's like it has finally cracked the sun's code. So what's the most important rule it found? Okay, look at the plot on the left. It shows that how strong the magnetic engine is during the sunspot cycle has only a kind of weak connection to the strength of that same cycle. But now, look at the plot on the right. The connection between the magnetic engine in one cycle and the strength of the next one, it's incredibly strong. Let's just pause on that number, 0.916. In science, that is an unbelievably strong link. What it means is that the physical conditions happening deep inside the sun during one 11-year cycle are actually setting the stage for how strong the next cycle is going to be. The sun, it turns out, has what scientists are now calling a one-cycle memory. So why does this matter to us back here on Earth? Well, because this memory is the absolute key to making better space weather forecasts. Being able to predict powerful solar flares and storms is crucial for protecting our satellites, our power grids, even astronauts in space. This discovery is a massive leap forward in our ability to do that. Which leaves us with one last really provocative thought. This whole technique worked on 300 years of telescope data, but we have other records of the sun's activity, records locked away in things like tree rings and ice cores that go back thousands of years. So the question is, could we now apply this same digital evolution to that ancient data and finally write the complete long-term history of our star?